Good evening. I'd like to call the City of West Bend Plan Commission for Tuesday, August 7th, 2018 to order, and recognize that we do have a quorum this evening with Commissioners White and, who else we have missing? White and Jenkins, absent and excused. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 3 is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of the Planning Commission, July 10th, 2018.
Move to approve.
A motion has been made and seconded. Any questions, comments, or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item 4A1 under Development Proposals and 2020 Comprehensive Plan is a consideration and permission to set a public hearing for an amendment to the 2020 Comprehensive Plan for the City of West Bend from commercial, open space, and two-family residential to commercial and open space land use for lands located at the southeast corner of County Highway Z and West Washington Street. The applicant is the Department of Development at the City of West Bend, and we have a presentation by Jim, Business Development Planner James Ranke. Good evening, Jim.
Good evening, everyone. For some reason, our monitors aren't working, but we have a draft for the comprehensive plan change. Between Fleet Farm and the Department of Development, we're requesting a land use change for the southeast corner of Washington Street and County Trunk Highway Z. The property is temporarily zoned B1, Community Business District, when it was annexed into the city back in 2001 and 2004. The comprehensive plan itself identified this area as wetland areas, commercial land uses, along with open space and two-family uses. This is consistent with the designated Area A in the boundary agreement with the town of West Bend. Staff is asking the commission to consider a modification to the commercial land use along with the open space areas, and then also to remove the two-family land use in the plan and replace it with the commercial use. And this is all to facilitate the development of this property. Along with this amendment, if the commission finds it to be appropriate, we would also do a permanent zoning at the same time at the next meeting after the public hearing. And in this case, the property would be zoned B1 Community Business District along with P1 Park Recreation and Open Space for the zoning districts out there, along with the associated land or wetland categories. Staff has reviewed the request, and the minor alteration has an expansion of the commercial use, which would replace the two-family use, and it also expands the open space area, greatly creating a larger buffer and separation between the commercial uses and the uses in the town to the south and west. If the Plan Commission finds the proposal to be acceptable, we would ask that the Commission set the public hearing for September 11th, 2018 at 6 p.m. to hear any comments or concerns pertaining to the land use change.
Thank you, Jim. So again, this is just setting the date for the public hearing.
Correct.
Any questions for Jim? Or does it entertain a motion on the item?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Again, under item 4, development proposals is 4B1, a concept plan, CP-18-001, a concept plan for a retail and gas station development located at the southeast corner of County Highway Z and West Washington Street. The applicant is Fleet Farm from Brainerd, Minnesota. The agent is Tom Carrico, the VP of Real Estate and Construction. And we have another presentation by Jim.
Thank you. The Fleet Farm has submitted a concept plan as part of the for the land use proposal change for the 74 acres at that southeast corner of Washington Street and Highway Z. The development proposal would be for a 190,000 square foot Fleet Farm building, along with a 5,000 square foot gas station and convenience store with a car wash. They're also proposing a 5.8 acre site along West Washington Street for future commercial development outlets. This is for the most part consistent with the comprehensive plan and with the boundary agreement for the commercial land use out in this area. They're proposing to have 2 accesses on the West Washington Street, and they are currently working with the DOT for those locations and also working on a traffic impact analysis to determine any kind of necessary improvements needed for Washington Street for turn lanes and access. They are proposing not to have any direct access onto County Trunk Highway Z to eliminate the need of going through any of the wetland areas on the west side of the site. Environmental assessments are being completed for this project for the wetlands for that identified area, but they are proposing to do a small wetland alteration and 2 small wetland areas of 0.05 and 0.06 acres. And that proposal would go through the DNR for approval, and then also to the commission for a conditional use for filling those wetlands. The other wetland areas throughout the site have been preserved and would be avoided as part of the construction of the development of the project. Sewer and water exist in Washington Street, and those utilities would be extended from those public utilities into the site to serve the development. Fleet Farm has also provided some architectural renderings. A variety of materials will be used throughout the building to vary the building materials, and the building colors themselves would be earth tone with the signature orange for Fleet Farm. Varying wall parapets and canopies over the entrance, and along with a feature wall, would be part of the architectural designs for the development.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim? Sarah?
I'm assuming that the wetland fill along Washington is to accommodate those 2 retail lots later?
Correct. If you look at the lighter green, that's the 5.8 acres that they're proposing as the commercial outlets, and then those 2 little darker green ones would be the wetland fill.
And obviously access to those would come from the sides, from the driveway into Fleet Farm?
Correct. What they're proposing is they weren't going to have direct access to Washington Street. Everything would be accessed off that private drive aisle that runs east-west on the back.
So would there be some type of, would they go into the parking lot and enter from the south side, or would there be a east and or west entry into those properties?
They'd be entering off the south side of that main drive aisle that runs east-west, north of their parking lot there.
Okay, thank you.
Jed?
It's a very nice plan. The architecture is really very nice. I just had one question. Due to the distance from Washington Street that the building will be, do you anticipate, are they going to handle their signage needs with just monument signs at Washington, or do you think they're going to want to have some exception and put something really high up by their building? Has that come up yet?
Not yet. Everything that we've seen from their concept has, more than likely we'll probably have exceptions for building wall sign size for that. But the overall building or sign locations on the building all were within the actual building itself. They are proposing some development signs out on the along 33 there.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? I got a couple of minor ones if no one else has any questions. And actually, I'd like to introduce Tom Carrico. Tom, would you mind step up to the mic? Tom's the VP of Real Estate and Construction. He's been working with city staff. Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for having me, and members of the commission. We're happy to be here.
Happy you are
Long time
here.
coming, right?
I know this is a concept plan, so I'm just digging through, comparing the site plan that's up there with a couple of the elevations. The elevations 3 or 4 pages in do show some intermediate landscape islands with landscaping in them, I assume.
That's correct.
And that would be the intent. Again, I understand the issue with snow plowing, but here there looks like there's 10 or 15 feet in between. This is a pretty big parking lot. It'd be nice if there was some intermediate landscaping
Absolutely.
in those
we
areas.
totally agree. Yep.
Beautiful. Actually, this question is for Mark. Refresh my memory on the amount of actual development. I know there's some type of a glacial feature out there in the past. There was some talk about removing a Kame or a Drumlin or an Esker or some type of,
The topography goes severely up on the west edge in the center portion along County Z. There's a Kame, is the glacial feature you're referring to, on that portion, and it's ringed with wetlands to the west and north of it. The previous submittal, way back when, did have more intrusion within that, plus also had intrusion for drive aisles through those wetlands to County Z. It also had a narrower bandwidth of open space preservation along County Z than this does. So they've expanded to stay out of that slope, to stay out of that wetland completely, to stick their stormwater into those locations that are non-wetland portion of that open space, and to avoid any direct access to County Z. So that expansion on the west and then the expansion on the east, the previous concepts did have peripheral ancillary development lots within it that would extend, and actually they did propose filling wetlands back then within those eastern wetlands as well, with significantly more. They were going to mitigate at that time, but this proposal basically blocks that area off. Creates a much broader open space, including much greater buffer distances from those wetlands, and it concentrates the development within the central corridor of this. So it looks like approximately, we don't have the, because we don't have a site plan yet, we don't have hard numbers on the development area, but it looks like it's about half of the 72, 74 acres.
kinder, gentler development.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
I understand there's a traffic study in the works, so that'll come into play as to how wide the access points are out
Yeah.
to
This portion,
33 and what, traffic signals or a controlled intersection or whatever it's going to be. Okay.
yeah, this portion of Highway 33 is under DOT authority for the access rights. So as part of their permit requirements, their Fleet Farm is actually working to generate that traffic impact analysis, the TIA. The recommendations that come out of that will drive the designs for those two drives and the improvements necessary on 33, whether that's turn lanes, changes to the medians, possibly signalization at the Shepherd's Drive intersection.
Okay. And lastly,
Yeah.
Tom, how close is this elevation? Because I haven't seen this type of a Fleet Farm store before. Is this something that makes us excited today and
It makes us
disappointed
excited.
tomorrow? It looks pretty awesome.
So this is the first type of this elevation that you'll see. So we're very excited about what we're presenting and the materials that we're using, and we believe it's going to be a great improvement, obviously, to what we have in the existing market, and we're very excited to get this store open. So.
And I don't know if the commission's had any community members reach out. I've had a few to talk about the existing store. What happens? How do we? I think it's a totally different situation than when Kmart and Sears left. These folks are leaving for a good reason. You've got a full year and a half to actually market the property.
Absolutely. And so once we're approved, we'll begin marketing that property because it's in our best interest to sell that as well. And so we'll work with the potential new owner and the city as well to work on a adequate development there, or not adequate, but good development there.
And worst case scenario, if it's not sold,
We'll
you
work
won't
with the
allow the
city.
building to
Yeah.
degrade any further. And we said
No.
tongue in cheek, it'd be tough to do that. But we're very excited that you're building this one and excited to see what your next development will be on your current site.
Absolutely.
Any other comments or questions? Any things that? Sure, Bernie.
The fuel delivery, where would they park for that?
I'm sorry.
For fuel delivery at the convenience store?
So are you talking about where the trucks would come in?
Yes.
Or, so
And-
they would come in the main entrance and then circle the building. The fuel tank, I think the tank farm would be to the south.
Okay,
Is that, yeah.
all right, thanks.
So, and then they drive around the building and exit, so.
Jed?
Could I just say that, to clarify a lot of public comment, this is the very first and only time a proposal from Fleet Farm has been brought to us. And it only took us, potentially it's going to take us, 10 minutes to approve it.
So it's not 20 years and 10 minutes, it's
Yeah,
just
that's
10
correct.
minutes.
Exactly.
I'm catching your drift.
That's all in the past. We're not going
Yes.
to worry about that.
Anything else you'd like to add, Tom?
Just that we're very excited. We're looking forward to getting this approved and getting a brand new store for the citizens of West Bend. So,
You're supposed to ask us if we know that you sell hunting and fishing licenses.
well, we
over
do
the
that.
other,
Yeah.
the other aisle.
Yes.
I think Mark, correct me if I'm wrong here, but we kind of smile and nod and say, looks good, finish it up and
We
come on
we
back.
basically wanted you to have this concept plan because if it was supporting for the comp plan change as rationale, it was also the next steps in this is quite, assuming that the comp plan change gets an approval after a public hearing, assuming that the zoning, permanent zoning for this property is affixed and approved, then we have site plans for the development, including the architecturals. We have a land division to create this parcel, because right now it's 4 separate parcels. We have 2 conditional use permits, one for the wetland fills, as minimal as they are, and one for the gas station use within proposed B1. So we have a number of items, and they're all going to hit in one meeting.
Sounds easy, that's what we do, right?
That's
Make
what we
stuff
do.
happen. Well, thank you. Thanks to the Fleet Farm Organization. I know we're all excited. This community truly is excited, and we appreciate you continuing to do business here in West Bend.
We appreciate
We'll
it as
see
well.
you
Thank
in-
you very much, and thanks
in
for
a
your
month.
time.
You bet, Tom.
Thanks.
Alderman Casson, could you handle the next agenda item for me, as I have a conflict of interest, and I'll step down and won't discuss or vote.
Absolutely. So item number C on the agenda, C1 is site plan for a 13,125 square foot medical office building located at 140 East Water Street. And again, Jim Renke.
Thank you. This is for the West Bend Medical Group. This is for a 13,125 square foot medical office building at the northeast corner of Wisconsin Street and Water Street. This development will actually benefit the tax incremental district number 5, and the proposal would generate 20 full-time jobs. The 2-acre parcel is zoned MXD, which is our mixed-use district. The site does provide for a land screened refuse area at the northeast corner. The developer is also asking for a setback exception for the parking lot along the north edge of the site to help accommodate. This helps accommodate for the building location and to provide the adequate drive aisles and parking stalls throughout the site. Due to the lot configuration, the layout, and the adjacent parking and the drive aisles to the north, staff would not object to the setback exception. The site plan does identify 2 driveway connections onto Wisconsin Street and Forest Avenue for the parking lots. 127 standard and 5 barrier-free stalls are being provided. The unique thing with this parking lot and for the development here is that the city and the developer are entering into an agreement for shared parking for public use throughout the day and after hours for the development. And then a developer's agreement would be, or I should say a parking agreement would be worked and approved between the council and the developer. Pedestrian access has been provided throughout the site from all 3 streets. The site plan will be modified to identify a sidewalk connection from Water Street into the site and through to the parking lot. Sewer and water laterals will be extended from Wisconsin Street, which they exist already from when we reconstructed the road there. A stormwater management plan has been submitted and is currently under review. And the site is designed to drain generally to the south to the storm sewer system in Water Street. Site lighting throughout this site would be via LED fixtures on 20-foot tall poles, and staff had no concerns with the lighting since it met the requirements of our code. Adequate landscaping is being provided throughout the site in the parking lot and around the building itself. For building signage and wall signage, 3 wall signs are being proposed. Our code does permit 2 by right. The Applicant is requesting the commission to consider granting an urban design exception for the number of wall signs for 3 of them, actually. So it would be on the west, south, and east side of the buildings. Staff wouldn't object to it since this is, basically it's a 3-sided lot. So we feel that it would be appropriate to identify the building on those 3 sides. They also have some small signage over or on the canopy on 2 sides, also over the main entrance. For the architectural building elevations, the majority of the building will consist of a earth tone color stone. They will also be utilizing a gray toned architectural metal panel along with some siding as accents also. Architectural canopies are being provided over the doorways on the north and east sides of the building. Staff had no concerns with the architectural appearance. Staff would recommend approval of the site plan with 6 conditions, consisting of a submittal of erosion control plan, provisions of landscape surety, approval of a stormwater plan. I'm asking the commission to also acknowledge and approve the reduced setback for the parking lot, along with the urban design exceptions for the wall signs. And then also all the construction for this development shall be in accordance with the approved soil management plan.
Thanks, Jim. Just as a point, we, on the council, did see the developer's agreement and the parking agreement yesterday. And everything looked good there, so it's nice to have that additional parking ability with the plan. Are there any questions for Jim at all? We also have, I believe, the architect in the audience as well. If not, I would entertain a motion on this item.
I'll move to approve all items with staff's comments.
I have a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. That motion carries. Thank you very much. I'm equally as excited about this building as we are Fleet Farm. It's always good to see development going into a TIF district, so thank you very much.
Pardon me, Rich?
Yes.
If I could remind the commission, the next meeting, regularly scheduled meeting, was moved to September 11th, as we had polled everyone, but I just want to remind everybody it's a non-standard date for us, so it'll be on 9/11.
Thanks, Mark. And with that, I will adjourn. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, you can talk to that lady right there.